Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident galaxy far, far away of the pod, but not the one you're thinking of, DL. How are you, mate?
It's good to be a celestial galaxy. I've never been better, actually.
It's a really weirdly deep cut. I lost the plot a little bit.
Expansive. I mean, it was like you kind of turned
You are expanding.
You turned it into I'm shrinking. I'm already at 82.5.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, one day. I think it's just because I didn't eat that much. It's that simple.
I was laughing to myself the other day because I was just thinking, I do those silly intros every time when we do the podcast. But like, it should really be a podcast about tracking the ups and downs of your jet lag. Like at what stage of jet lag
it's actually fair, dude. I don't even know. I honestly don't know why I'm tired half the time, because I can't tell if it's like, oh, I just had a normal bad sleep, or like, am I jet lagged? But all that is done for at least 4 months.
A week?
At least 4 months. No
When's your
travel.
next trip?
Probably February.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're not going home for the holiday season?
I don't think I'll do
Well,
that.
I am.
Are you really?
Fuck you.
Well, I've been home a lot, so I can, get away with not.
It's my turn. We've got some holiday episodes lined up, I think. We've got a couple scheduled. So
Already,
we'll do our usual. We'll do the best and worst stuff. And I had a really fun idea this time.
Yes.
We can do an episode where we basically take the piss out of ourselves and we look back at our predictions for the year and say how badly we did. Thoughts?
Didn't we do that already?
I don't. Not yet.
I thought we predicted. Didn't we pick our most anticipated or something?
That's what I'm saying. We look back at our most anticipated and say, "Oh, that was a bad choice."
Yeah, maybe we haven't done a whole episode on it. We've just kind of talked about our bad choices.
Oh, we could do a YouTube video on it.
Yeah, wow.
I was thinking of a YouTube video we could do the other day.
We have the receipts. So
we do. You were talking about how you knew exactly what Blue Beetle would look like in terms of how it would beat for beat roll out in the cinema, and I was like, wouldn't that be a fun YouTube video? Imagine we do it for the Marvels. We just do
predict it.
This is what's going to happen in this stupid film.
Yeah, I'm now I'm losing confidence that I actually could, but I'm down to try. And to be frank, it's not necessarily that you can predict it. It's that once it starts happening, it's predictable. Does that make you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's they telegraph things so early in the movie.
So there's 10
There's
tropes,
no
they pick 5.
There's just not enough good misdirection in these movies.
That's so true.
It's not that I know what's going to happen because I've been following the comics, or because every Marvel movie has the same formula. It's that once the formula kicks, it's a very predictable
that's super interesting.
Yeah, ensemble after.
I'll tell you an interesting thing I watched this week before we get into actually talking about stuff.
Yeah.
I sent to one of the friend of the show, Ollie, a video I checked out on YouTube, and it is called How Marvel Got Boring. It's by a YouTube channel called Wisecrack. I don't think I've ever talked about them. The guy in it, I don't love the guy in it. However, this is a really interesting video. It's about 21 minutes, so it's quite long. You want to put it on 1.5 speed, but
are we going to do that now?
We can do it right
now. Perfect listening.
We'll go through. The point is how all Marvel movies are effectively generated by all the data that, not necessarily just Marvel movies, but superhero movies, data that the studios have in the background. So instead of it being genuinely a creative outlet for these directors and such, they are pretty much beat for beat created by almost AI at this point. It's pretty fascinating.
What does that
I
mean?
will link it in the description. Effectively, what they have is they have so much information on certain actors and the responses that actors get, the responses people give to actors in certain types of roles and certain types of positions in films. They can literally, by the numbers, create movies in the background. And Disney is terrible for this, along with a couple of the others. So
can they? They can create bad movies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why
so
most
maybe they
of
should
them
stop doing it.
aren't creative. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And part of the idea of the video is it follows James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and how, it takes some big swings. It's not perfect, but it is a creative vision of James Gunn. It is not one of these made by data analysis movies. And it's quite fascinating. And it's almost the movie, when you track it, I'm not going to give away the whole video, but it kind of follows the beats of how he feels in that industry, being sort of told how to make movies. Fascinating. Really fast. Hey guys, look, I will link that below and check out Wisecrack. They're a lot of fun. Wisecrack? Is that who I said? I can't remember at this point.
Wisecrack.
This is how we go. I'll say one thing wrong, goddammit.
It's good viewing.
Check it out, guys. Have a listen. But also, if you want to keep listening to us banter about our weeks, dumb stuff, feel free. There will be time codes in the description. as always supplied by friend of the show and podcast master, Mr. Matthew Bliss. And we'll
Jedi
give you all his
Master.
details
Yeah.
at the end of the episode. Before we move on, DL, I got a question for you. And now I like to get deep with my initial question of the podcast.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Real deep on this.
Stargazing
Yes.
galaxy, yeah. Fielding
As a galaxy,
co-host, yeah.
if you
As a galaxy. As just a spray of stardust.
galaxy far away of the pod,
Yes.
if you were to ask all of the members of the galaxy within you, which is a weird thing to say out loud,
Are they inside?
how many stars they should give this podcast? What do you think they should give us?
You're saying there's a galaxy of stars inside me. And I'm saying
yes.
that this podcast in that scenario deserves infinite 5-star reviews.
5 stars, baby.
Yeah.
If we had all of those reviews, we would be smashing
All of them inside me, I would not be losing weight. We're trying to achieve elite status.
elite, baby.
Elite
We want
status.
elite stars at the same time. Elite DL is getting an elite body.
Yes.
Can we do it?
Let's do a poll.
Who knows?
Let's do a poll. Listeners, tell me, can I do it? Will we get more 5-star reviews? Will we double our 5-star reviews, or will I
That's
have
a great
my
question.
half my calories this
Let's
week?
give it a go. Let's give
see.
it a
Take a
go. And if
poll.
you know someone who might like this, pass it on. Let them pass the pod. We're going back to pass the pod, baby.
Pass the pod.
DL, talk to me, mate. What have you been up to this week?
Well, besides nursing a hangover for all of Monday,
Surely you had like some good content on while you were hungover.
dude, it was like one of those hangovers where I couldn't even like focus on, like,
Ooh.
it was just bad. But I did watch some stuff. What did I do? I basically put on stuff that I was like, whatever. Put on like UFO encounters.
Oh, fun.
Have you
I
seen
like
this
those
Netflix
shows.
little documentary thing? 4
I've seen
episodes
the
long?
first episode.
I've seen 2. And I gotta say, the African school, I think they're full of shit.
Okay, all right.
Not
What do you think about the town in the States? It's the only one I've seen.
down in the States. What did they see again?
Like an orb that moved faster, and there was like F-16s.
Yeah, there was a bunch of
following it.
people that saw it. I can believe
Like
that.
100 people.
I could believe that. The other one was a bunch of kids in Africa that like and like one of the guys at the school is like, I actually said that and it was like a joke so I could get out of class, and everyone just believed me, and I'm calling bullshit now.
Oh, really?
But like other people are like swearing by
That's
it still.
amazing.
So it's just like, yeah, anyway, that I watched that. It was a good little thing to have on. I mean, nothing, just kind of popcorn, really.
So Netflix stuff, man. I've got a good Netflix one.
Yeah.
I think you'll like this. And you know how I like a weird recommendation.
Yeah, I do. So
I love a weird one.
My spider senses are tingling.
That's something else, mate. I'm touching your leg.
Oh, gross.
This is a fun one, and you might like this. So I watched a thing called How to Become a Cult Leader. Now, you'll
I've seen
remember,
this.
because I watched a thing called How to Become a Dictator a little while ago. and
Hey, you
this
got
is-
issues.
Yeah, I've got a thing. I've got a thing for these How to Becomes.
It's you.
Am I trying to
problem is
become
you.
one? Did you see that thing that was all over social media? It was like, there was a psychological study that if you relax to those types of shows, you've got like a serious like mental challenge. I was like, oh, okay.
I don't
Good.
know how true that is. How do they study that?
Well, I don't know. Like, it can't be a massive sample size, but
Yeah.
this one's a lot of fun. It's Peter Dinklage, he doesn't sound interested in, like, he's clearly taking a paycheck, right? Like, he's clearly there
Having
for
a
one
few of
reason.
these, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite fun. They outline, I think it's 4 or 5 cult leaders, how they got to where they were, like their path to get there, with some like fun visuals and like mostly for the point, like their downfall at the end of it. Fascinating.
Yeah,
some of
cults
these
are
people.
fascinating.
Super
Because
interesting.
I think it's like innate in our evolution, like to like.
We want to follow a weirdo.
Well, you just want to follow like, yeah, just like someone that's gonna get, you know, a bunch of people around you, and you know,
Make you feel good.
I think that's just like, you know, animalistic shit. You don't want to be solo.
Interesting.
And so you're like kind of like
So if you're a
humans are
lone
like
wolf.
ingrained to like kind of follow something.
Ooh, that's interesting. If
But
you're alone, do you reckon more it's for people who are like, you know, susceptible to it? Surely.
I think there definitely are people that are more susceptible to it. I do think humanity as like a species is susceptible to it
Interesting.
on its own. Like everyone that says they're a lone wolf, like no, if you're just like alone forever, you get fucking depressed and bored.
Yesterday I was a lone wolf, but today I just
Yeah, I
got
was a
2 new
lone
members of my
wolf.
wolf pack.
Yeah, I was a lone wolf after 2 days of drinking. Yes, I was a
Yes.
lone wolf for that half a day. But
You know, I haven't watched The Hangover in a long time. That's a film. That's a good film.
It's an all timer.
Shame about the others. But
Yeah, they all got paid.
yeah,
so-
hell yeah, they did.
You know?
Well, I tell you, the thing I'm waiting for now is when Peter Dinklage comes back and he does the Versus series. So he does the dictators versus the cult
Yeah.
leaders.
That's the worst.
That
That's
would
when
be
you know they
hilarious.
really rank like going for the paycheck.
Yeah, totally.
Predator versus Alien.
Oh my God, yeah. Tell
So
me
you
more about
like
that.
You haven't seen it?
Yeah, no, it's good. Actually, no, it's not. It's a
It's
film
not, there's
that
no
I
way.
remember.
Stop.
I remember
It's
buying
not
that film
good.
when I was younger, and
Yeah,
thinking it was good because I didn't know what good action films
exactly.
were.
Stop.
All right,
This travesty. It was a great movie. It was a great film.
it's the yes and thing in a podcast. I can't help myself. I'm like, yeah, it's really
and I
good.
loved it, and I loved it a lot.
Crap film. What else have you been up to, buddy?
I did a bit of a Loki rewatch. I'm on episode 2.
Ooh, tell me more.
I think it's coming out tonight. Yeah,
Friday.
Oh, Friday. So I got some time. That's good.
Well, for anyone, this comes out on a Sunday, so it will be out by now.
Yeah, that's true. It's out now.
For us, it's out tomorrow.
And-
for you, in the present, that's our future. Wow, this is hard to get my head around.
Yeah.
It'll be now.
I can't do time travel past 5 p.m., bro. And then I watched the first episode of this like David Beckham documentary.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
shit.
entirely sure why. I just put it on,
Interesting.
but it was
Because you have free reign of the TV at the moment.
yeah. I'm just like there's
you are
no
the king of your
questions
domain.
asked.
Yeah. You do
Just like
what you
we're
want.
just gonna see if we like it.
Yeah.
You know?
What did you think of the first episode?
Like it's interesting. I don't know much about his like history as a player, so it's like all news to me.
As a Brit, like
He's a pretty important,
pretty important figure.
yeah.
It's really interesting because I wonder how much new stuff is in there. Like, I can't imagine it's going to be anything that we don't know.
I know you'd know all of it for sure.
I mean, it'd be interesting. You never know.
But you
Like,
still get interviews that are interesting.
well,
you know?
there is like shall we say a rumor? There is a rumor that he is like a massive poonhound in the States. As in, like, it's apparently the same with Jay-Z. So there is one of those lawsuits on it that newspapers can't report on it. I forget what they're called. There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is. But him and Jay-Z are exactly the same in this. That they are only with their respective partners still because they would lose so much money from losing the branding of the two of them together. So he's apparently like, you see all the pictures of him like checking out the cheerleaders and stuff. Like, apparently he's just does whatever he wants.
Did we not like think that was the case?
Well, I mean,
It's like you date a rapper, you date a NBA player. I thought it was the same with the Premier League soccer
he's
player.
portrayed as like, he's portrayed as like the family man. Like he's always on Instagram with his kids. And
Might be a family man. He might also want to fuck a lot of chicks. And he's just David Beckham.
Or guys.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, you do you, David Beckham. You be happy. But
That's not surprising to me at all.
Was that good?
Honest.
The Beckham thing?
Yeah, the first episode was. I think it like ended with like that goal he took from the half.
Oh yeah,
behind
okay.
the half
He was
line.
super young at that point. He's like 20 or something, 21.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Or it might have started with that. I don't really remember.
I feel like the ad was setting it up to be like that. That was sort of the point of the first episode, like how he got to that stage of his career. But like, he was meteoric. Like, you think Messi's big in the US now. If he was levels of fame, social media and stuff, if he was now, fuck, he would be the most influential person in.
I mean, I knew who David Beckham was.
There you go.
I just didn't know. I never watched any of his games.
Yeah.
The question I have for you is like, how long was he good for?
He was like, okay, so he was at Manchester United, the English football team, until he was, I think, roughly 26-ish, maybe slightly earlier. And he was amazing, like full amazing. And he moved to Real Madrid, which, the biggest football club in the world. Everyone knows who Real Madrid are. And it was a case of people sort of thought he lost it at Real Madrid, but he was in a team of the best players in the world. Like, as in, the player next to him was probably as good, if not better than him. And the player next to them was the same. And he was at this level where like everyone was so good. He just looked like another football player.
Yeah.
But the team was so phenomenal. Like, you can go on YouTube and watch clips of him just doing insane passes in Real Madrid shirt. But then his career progressed. Like, he went to the MLS. Everyone thought his career was over. He won the MLS championship.
After Real Madrid,
with
went to the MLS?
Yeah, he went straight to Galaxy. But even when he was at LA Galaxy, he got loaned to both Paris Saint-Germain, one of the biggest now football teams in the world, won the title with Paris. He went to AC Milan, and he played incredible football for AC Milan. He was still great way into his mid-30s.
The interesting part about football is like it's hard to like actually assess best player like ever, or
totally.
the ranking, because they're just like they move around in leagues with such different levels of talent.
And the interesting thing
is,
is,
it's so hard to make that call. Like, whereas like LeBron played in the NBA the entire time. You know what I mean? It's just like that simple. Like, the best players were there, and that's where you played.
Well, Messi was at the top level for his pretty much whole career. I mean,
La Liga?
Yeah. Well, he obviously moved then to Paris, which wasn't. It's a good league, but he was better than that league.
Well, I think Messi's kind of like he was in La Liga for what, 10 years? At least?
Way longer than that. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long time.
It's interesting. But then you have to look back at the history of it, and like the game has changed massively. It's like apples and oranges. So like you look at the likes of Pele. Everyone knows who Pele is.
Yeah.
Scored fucking thousands of goals, but never left Brazil. Like he was an insane footballer, but who knows how good he could have been if he'd ever moved to Madrid or Barcelona or whatever. So and you look at people like Maradona, did it all over the world, insane, loved cocaine. Like these are like, but it's different.
These are the questions we need answered.
How much cocaine did he take?
And
there's funny videos of him on the pitch genuinely doing like bumps of cocaine.
I've heard about it, yeah.
The point I'm trying to make here is that now it's very different, that it's incredibly stamina and speed based and strength. Whereas back then, like if you were super skillful, like you
could get by.
You could
for a lot. Like
I'm not saying they're not bad players, and
I just mean like you could get away with shit you probably wouldn't get away with today.
But then
because everything else has risen.
Correct. But then at the same time, like back then, it was okay to basically kick a player in the shins and just run away, and you get away with it. Whereas now you've seen it, you brush a player and they're on the ground rolling.
Can we go back to that
apples and oranges
brand of football?
Who knows? But yeah, we definitely give that a go. That's on the list.
Yeah, I'm watching it, so I would. I've enjoyed it so far.
And speaking of soccer, football as I would call it, Wrexham is back, baby. So
yeah, you're into that.
I am so into that. I think there's 6 episodes out at this point of recording. Jesus, that show's good. I think it's really like leaning into its sort of like heartbreak value at the moment. It's a bit like, we had a terrible season. We were really unlucky last season. Like I know where the season's going. I follow them now on like various media, so I know what happens. But like, it's still got a lot of heart, and I like that it follows these people who are just normal folks from fucking Wales. It's like these random blokes who own a pub, and it's like, I since the first.
Like, are any of the players like remotely top tier?
Top tier? No,
not even close.
So you got the way you got to look at it is right. Like you're thinking
it's still the top league.
You're thinking of players like Messi and stuff, right?
No, I understand that they're not them.
No. Okay, right. So this is how England works.
Yeah.
So English soccer. God, no one needs to know about this. This turns into a sports podcast. It's not. English soccer works like this, right? So there are 4 divisions.
Yes.
That are all pro leagues, right? That's your pyramid.
Yep.
And under the bottom pyramid, there is the first non-league league, which is what they're in. So they are, and that's the hardest league to get out of.
They're trying to ascend.
They're trying to become a pro. They're a professional team. They're trying to become like a proper
one of the top 4
pro leagues.
Yeah.
And it's significantly harder than they could have realized. And, these 2 guys, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, pumping money into this. And after the first season, they're in the second season, they're saying, if we do not get promoted this season because of the money we've put into this, it is unsustainable. This business is unsustainable.
That's how much they've put in?
That's how they started this season. So it's got to go well.
Oh, man.
It's got to go well. But it's good. It's a fun show. I like all the characters in it. And it does, like, this season as well brings in, like, the women's team and stuff. Like, it's changing the focus a little bit, giving you, like, just, it's nice. I like how they do it. It's got a lot of heart to it.
Nice.
Anything else? What have you been up to?
I think that's it. UFO Encounters, Loki rewatch, and the first episode of David Beckham. It's been an odd week for me. This is not normal.
I'll give you one final one from my end then. I started a new game this week, and I'm never going to get to finish it before Spider-Man.
Okay.
So I bought the new Souls-like Lies of P, which, if you just heard the sort of generic overview of, like, the blurb, you'd be a bit like, wow, that sounds crap. But it's actually really good. The combat's really fun. It's got some new dynamics to it.
Yeah.
You effectively play as Pinocchio, which sounds shit.
I can't believe
Let me finish. You're in this weird Eastern European city that has been taken over by puppets who have all gone crazy from witchcraft.
What's it called?
Lies of P.
Lies of Pinocchio.
Just P.
Yeah,
and
P's obviously for Pinocchio.
Well, of course. But like I'm not even sure where the story's going at this point. But it's a Souls-like. You're just having difficult fights and stuff's trying to kill you and everything's harder than it could possibly be.
But wait, Pinocchio's a real boy.
He's not. He looks like a real boy.
Looks like a real boy.
At this point, it seems like there's something about him that's not quite right. And man, I never thought I'd get into these Souls-like games, but my God, this is fun.
You're very into them now.
Right now
You're fully in.
But then last night I spent an hour trying to beat a sub-boss who wasn't even the boss who I needed to beat. And it took me a full hour, and I hated myself when I finished.
Isn't there an expansion for Elden Ring coming out?
They've been saying that for ages. I don't think that's coming out anytime soon, unfortunately. By the way, go and check out Lies of P. It's a lot of fun. It's hard as balls. What we like to do now is we like to do a little bit of what we call Have You Heard? because we are not very creative. But what it is it's things we see in the news. We call it news. It's really social media stories that sound fun. And we hope one day you can check the tapes and we'll be like, yeah, we got that right. We were right when we DL.
Yeah, most of the time we're right.
Most
of the time we're right. Most of the time.
DL, did you hear this week that Cameron Monaghan, Cameron Monaghan.
Yep, got it. Whatever you said, I got it.
The dude who does the Star Wars Jedi games, the ginger guy.
Yeah.
He reckons that there is a third Star Wars Jedi game in the works right now. And this is...
What do you mean he reckons? Is that just because he's doing
dialogue? He's literally
like
the face of the game.
Yeah, I reckon. I reckon I'm going to go home today. Like, okay. Very astute of you, man.
I reckon I'm going to eat today. Yeah. But it's interesting that he's come out and said this so soon after the game just came out. Like, the game's only been out like a few goddamn weeks.
I mean, it makes sense. It did really well. Star Wars is like going all out everywhere, like, movies, new shows.
It's true. They're doing a lot of things Star Wars right now. And, the games are really critically acclaimed. People seem to really like them.
They have, yeah.
I tried the first one. I really struggled. Did I tell you that story?
Struggled to like it or just struggled to, like, be good at it?
50-50.
Yeah.
It is all, in itself, it's a bit of a Souls-like. It's got some of those elements, like, it's about parrying, it's about dodging. It's got some, like, Uncharted style, like climbing up walls and shit and puzzle solving.
It does seem like it's an Uncharted style, like replay,
I really liked it when it was just like, there's a bunch of enemies around you and you just go and like mess them up.
Yeah.
But then it was like, no, you've got to do this puzzle. you've got to find a way to, I don't know, parkour up this wall. I'm like, I don't care about this. I'm a goddamn Jedi. Force jump.
You'd have liked this finale then.
Oh yeah, big time.
Lots of that.
What do you reckon? Would you play? Have you played it?
I just don't think I have the time, but I would actually like that would be a game I would like.
Do you want it? I've got it in there. You can borrow it.
I just don't know if I want to start with the first one because it's apparently like just like not as good as the second.
Super slow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I mean, like I'll play it maybe if I have time.
I can watch a YouTube recap and go straight into the second one.
There's just so many things I have to play ahead of it.
Oh man, first world problems over here. Calm down.
No, it's true. I'm just wild.
And you're still playing the same game.
I've never finished it.
Finished The Witcher already, man.
Dude, I maybe am halfway done.
I don't believe you.
Maybe.
How do you know?
I don't. I don't claim to know. I claim to hypothesize.
I'd love to know where you're actually at. You're probably like 10% in or something.
Maybe I'm through chapter 1 of three acts.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But there's 2 DLCs that are the size of the game. So
that's painful.
I could be 10%.
I don't feel like I'm ever going to play that game.
I love it, dude. It's a great game.
I enjoyed it. I did. Yeah. I enjoyed it when I was playing at Switch at home. Like it's a fun game. It's a fun world to jump into.
It's a great world, although like sometimes it needs variety. I'll say that.
Yes,
like the combat. And now I'm so good. I just hit people twice and they just like die.
Did you ever download the update thingamajigger?
Yeah, it's way better.
It improve the combat?
Yeah, it's way better.
Okay,
for sure.
All right, but now you're so good. You hit.
I'm overpowered right now.
Okay,
for sure.
But the 10% into the game,
I need to like get into the deeper, quite like
what level are you? Because it's real hard to level up.
23.
So low.
I don't know. I'm still whooping people's ass.
I think I'm like level 4 or some shit, and I've put so much time into it. I'm like, I just
like the way you get level up there is doing quests, not by killing enemies.
Yeah, anyway, dumb, really dumb. Would play Star Wars at some point. Probably not going to get around to it anytime soon.
Yeah,
nice.
That's the summary.
Well, anyway, did you hear this week, DL? We were talking about James Gunn a minute ago. He has confirmed the 3 actors who are going to be carrying over into his DCEU. Can you guess them for me?
Peacemaker, Amanda, whatever, and that Beetle guy.
Amanda, whatever. That's a good name.
Amanda Knox or something.
Amanda
Waller, yeah.
And the Beetle guy, who we've still not seen that film.
Amanda Knox is the chick. It's like there's like a murder mystery on her in Netflix. That's why
is she
that
like a
name
serial
came to
killer?
me. I think she got falsely accused. Anyway, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But the Amanda chick. Yeah, Amanda Waller.
She's fantastic. I like her, that actress a lot.
Blue Beetle seems kind of random.
We should watch it.
Like Wyatt Blue Beetle.
I mean, wait till it comes
He had nothing to do with it.
Didn't he?
I thought he didn't.
But I thought he came out before it and was like, yeah, it's part of the new universe. So now he's got to kind of stick with it.
No, maybe he obviously did, but I'm just kind of like, why would you pick that one?
I mean, like, who else are you going to pick?
Like, why not just start from scratch?
Yeah, just like...
Your opening salvo is like Critters. Isn't the first movie called like Critters or something?
His IMDb?
The first movie, like the first one that's kicking off the DC.
I see what you mean. I think isn't that an animated show?
I don't know. Yeah, it's so random.
The first one's going to be
I'm like, you're
Superman.
opening with that. And then the first character you're saying is the Blue Beetle that no one knows anything about. Like, dude,
nobody saw the film.
He's getting weird. It's like
he was always weird.
I do respect James Gunn, but like I just not sure I'm behind some of these decisions.
I think his first one's gonna be Superman.
It's not his first one. The Critters or whatever the fuck. He's announced it. Whatever you called it.
I want to know what this is. Can you Google it?
Dude, it's called something. He's confirmed it many times.
I'll talk over you while you're looking at that. But like, yeah. I like the 3 he's chosen. I think they're my okay. 2 of the 3 we've not seen Blue Beetle yet, but certainly Amanda Waller. She's a great connecting character. I like her in everything she's done. It's a shame that she's not going to be connecting anything anymore. She's connecting to a universe that nobody cares about. Also, Peacemaker was just so goddamn good. That first series was fire.
Well, what he said was that it's going to be basically like these characters, but none of the history behind them.
Oh.
So it's kind of like he can kind of play with the things he wants to.
It
is a rebootuation.
Yes! Bring back our famous term.
It is. Like, they're not going to go reference the things they did previously, which I just don't understand. Like, I guess mainly because he doesn't want to fuck up the timelines if he wants to change things. Maybe he's just like, I'll touch those if I want to.
Interesting. So you mean he wants to leave that universe where it is, and if he wants to come back to
Michael Jackson treatment.
Oh, great.
I'll touch him if I want him.
Wow.
Moving on.
Hearsay.
What was the other one? So
I'll tell you a fun bit of news. Did you hear this, DL?
Yeah.
Do you remember, not too long ago, there was that submarine... there was that submarine, I shouldn't laugh, that basically killed those billionaires underwater.
That stupid thing that took over the news.
Yeah, it took over for a hot minute there, and apparently there is already a movie in the works, which, according to reports, is inspired by the tragic events surrounding OceanGate's Titan submarine, currently in development stages, which sounds terrible. And it has E. Brian Dobbins as a producer, who's known for The Blackening. Awful, by the way. This could be anything. This could be anything from like some schlocky horror movie to like a Titanic style film.
Documentary is all I want.
What is this?
Why would I want to?
And why is this coming out?
All I want is a documentary.
But what's it going to tell you?
Like how anyone could agree to do what they did. Interview the family. If you have to do something, I don't want a shitty movie. I want like an investigation on this idiot.
An investigation more than a documentary.
Yeah,
that's what 100%.
I want. 100%.
Give me
some journalism.
Yeah. Something that's actually going to touch on some points that we all want to find out about. Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe they should do that instead of this terrible sounding film.
For sure, dude. I am struggling to find what this Critters thing is, but just know that there's an animated show about characters in the DCU that no one knows anything about. That's what James Gunn is.
I don't think it's coming out first. I think
it is 100% coming out first, but it's just not. Is it Swamp Thing?
That's not coming out first.
Creature Commandos, like little critters, whatever. Creature Commandos is revealed that he was in the middle of writing a new DCU television series. Basically, I've heard that this is coming out before.
Great, fun,
interesting choice.
You're still talking about this. We're talking about other things by now, DL.
You can cut it if you want, but don't you think this is an interesting choice?
No.
Like, surely just start with Superman.
I mean, I think you'll probably just start with Superman.
You heard it here first, man. Creature Commandos.
Look, guys, if there's anything we haven't talked about that you heard in the news, hit us up. We will always call you out. You can hit us up at podcastassemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We love it when you do. Send us memes, tag us and stuff. I'm bringing back correspondence at the end of the episode because we have some correspondence about the main topic for this week, which, DL, we actually have a main topic theme. Do you want me to give you a sneak preview?
Cue our new theme.
Matt, you can tag this in. One of our friends of the show has been listening back to some of our older episodes when we were pretending like we actually thought about these things and has created as a main topic theme. So thank you, friend of the show, whose name I've now lost, which is terrible of me. I'll share at the end of the show. Here you go. Hang on.
It's the main topic theme.
That makes me
like some harmonies in there.
That makes me so happy.
Like a barbershop quartet.
It's a barbershop quartet almost. I love it.
Boom, boom, boom.
That's how I imagined it when we used to do it. It's the main topic theme.
Is it actually what you imagined?
That's how I imagined it from the word.
I'm not sure that I imagined it at all. I just witnessed it.
Thank you, friend of the show, Riley. We massively appreciate it. If you guys have any other weird themes that we can put in for any of our other segments, we've got Have You Heard? We've got, what's the other one we do? We've got What Have You Been Up To? Just do it.
Yeah.
We'll incorporate it
and
somehow.
we've got dumb summaries, which is coming right up.
Oh, so DL, do you want to preface our... Hang on. Do you want to... Hang on. Do you want to preface our...
It's the main topic theme.
You're really getting...
For this week.
You're really getting the most out of that little bit from Riley.
I love it.
Who you forgot his name. How could you do that?
Very briefly.
How could you do that?
It's back in my brain now. It's fine.
Fucking Riley, dude. I don't know if you're...
Riley.
It's a dual sex name, to be fair.
True. Could be either.
Could be either.
Good for you, Riley. You do
Good
you.
for you.
You do you.
Save that in my neutral gender name.
Do you want to hit us up with...
The main topic.
You really want me to.
I really want to move on.
Okay. This week, the acclaimed series was going to bring Star Wars back from the dead. Actually, not really, because Andor already did that. But Ahsoka
Very, very true.
has had its season finale this week. And so we're going to cover it.
And you're going to give me your stupid plot summary.
And it is. Ahsoka finally gets her time to shine, ... But not really. Rebels Season 5, ... But not really. Basically, we find out that if you try to please everyone, you please no one.
Wow. That hits hard. That hurts.
Yep.
That hurts.
It does.
I'll give you mine. The show that proves there is still some life left in stories about Force wielders in the Star Wars universe, which includes the worst possible outcome of an Uno reverse card of all time.
Which one's that?
And we're going to be doing full spoilers for
Yeah,
this.
let's do
So
full
the Uno reverse card is all about how Ezra flips with Ahsoka.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
That's
man.
the most obvious one. Sorry.
Come on, man.
That's also the dumbest piece. We'll get to it.
Before we get there, do you want to guess for me the IMDb score?
Currently, I saw it. It's kind of high. It's 7.9. Did I see it?
Yeah,
right?
it was
Yeah.
8 yesterday, and it's gone down to 7.9, which is interesting.
I think it'll average out at 7.6.
I think it'll average
7.7.
7.7, I reckon, ish. But, we'll see. Rotten Tomatoes?
That'd be 83.
Ooh, it's 88. Yeah, it's high. I was like, oof, that's...
Dude, people do like this, but I'm not really understanding. Like, maybe I just came in with higher expectations.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We will talk about that. But finally, Letterboxd. Now, we talked about this last week.
It's always 3.5.
It's 3.7.
It's
So
always
it's
3.5.
very slightly higher.
I know what it is. I tell you it. Anyway, what do you think? What was Andor? What do you think Andor was on IMDb?
IMDb, I reckon that's in the 90s.
IMDb?
Yeah.
8.4.
Well, sorry, IMDb, I meant...
Yeah, 8.4.
What-
This is
what's
like
Rotten
Andor is
Tomatoes?
significantly better than this, I would
Yeah.
say.
significantly.
And
I'd have thought that would have been up near the 9s.
Yeah.
All right, so this is from the new Star Wars guy. He's like the made man. He's like the mob boss.
Well,
he's been anointed.
David
Filoni.
Filoni.
Who-
He's been anointed, but like kind of early.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got a long career ahead of him. I think he's going to be like, I reckon he's going to move to being almost like
He will.
Kevin Feige.
He will.
He's going to be in that
He
position
will.
at
But
some
my point is, like, he's had a long career of animated success, which is like a very different audience and targets a very different like level of critique.
True.
Right. And then he was involved and did a great job with the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, I would say.
Not the
But
third.
Well, he wasn't involved with it. 'cause
That's what I'm
He was
saying.
doing this. Yeah.
Right.
So like that gives him a bit of credit because
Yeah, for
it
sure.
got pretty bad
Yeah.
when he wasn't there. But also the first 2 seasons were, Favreau is pretty involved as well.
Favreau did. He got pretty much full creative control of the third
And-
season, which is interesting.
And I think Favreau is like a pretty experienced, dude. So like this is his first real alone,
His first solo
his first
adventure.
solo venture in Star Wars.
And it's great, man. It brings all of your favorites to the screen. We've got Ahsoka Tano, play Rosario Dawson, who was the voice actor. Hey, if you want to know any of these fun details that I really can't remember, I did a video on this, a YouTube video. Go check it out. I watched the first episode of Ahsoka Tano. Should you? And if you haven't seen any of this, you can watch the video first. It's probably going to help.
Yeah.
It's got David Tennant as the not a robot. What do they call him in this? Why am I forgetting words?
Droid.
The droid, Hyang. It has Sabine Wren. It's got Hera's back. These are all characters who I have no idea who they are. Morgan Elsbeth comes back from the Mandalorian season. Ezra Bridger, baby. He's here.
Again, no idea who he is.
I also had no idea who he was. I knew him from like images of Rebels and stuff, but
Yeah.
sure. Anakin Skywalker is back in the form of Hayden Christensen. Back? He's back. He was back
he's
in
like-
Obi-Wan.
I mean, he's like back, but he's like, he gets a little more screen time this time.
And we are also introduced to Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is apparently the big bad of this.
Who's very blue.
He's with very red eyes. We're going to talk about him. We are going to talk about him. So what's the sort of overview plot of the series, dear?
So how about this?
What happens?
We'll do a quick little plot summary, and then we'll do a 2-minute Rebels recap.
Start with the Rebels.
Okay, 2-minute Rebels recap.
For anyone like me who hasn't seen Rebels and didn't take the time to go back and watch the things Disney recommended before watching this, it would have really helped.
Those of you
DL
that didn't do your homework
is now going to fill in.
Quick 2-minute summary of Rebels seasons 1 through 4. Major setting is Lothal. Why do we care about Lothal? Because it was an integral part of the Empire's military and resource supply line that we saw through all the main story movies. A group of rebels, Sabine, a Mandalorian, Kanan Jarrus, a half-trained Jedi who fled Order 66, Hera, a pretty epic pilot with crazy tentacles, and Zeb, R.I.P. You don't really see him this entire season, but you did see him for 30 seconds in Mando Season 3. Does it make sense? I'm not going to say. Who knows? And their droid Chopper clash past stealing Empire tech with a street rat, think like Aladdin-style character, Ezra Bridger, who is an orphan on Lothal, whose parents were killed by the Empire. Through 2 seasons, after they team up, because obviously they do, of television, they do a pretty good job of being rebels, inspiring more to their cause, linking up to a broader rebellion, meeting Ahsoka, yada, yada, yada.
Sorry, what?
Ezra starts getting trained as a Jedi, gets a saber by, Kanan Jarrus, who really isn't very confident because he wasn't fully trained and kind of fled when the going got tough. Yada, yada, yada. And until we're introduced to the Emperor's second in command, that is the very, very blue, red-eyed General Thrawn. He's assigned to basically take them out and lock down Lothal, the setting of Rebels. We see him do lots of masterful tactician strategy kind of things. You've probably got that vibe watching this. That's what he's all about.
He's not a big action guy.
No, he's a big learn my enemy, learn from them, never make a long-term mistake.
The paunch.
Yes. And I guess one of the big things you need to know is that in the final season, Kanan Jarrus, the half-trained Jedi that was training Ezra Bridger, dies to save the team so that Ezra can unlock an ancient Jedi secret, yada, yada, yada. The world between worlds.
That's only in the last season.
It comes up, yes, in the last season.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I assumed that was a massive part of it.
The world between worlds?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay, interesting.
No. And it's a massive part of the last season. The Jedi Temple and all the lead-ups to it hint that everyone, like in the first season, 4 seasons, they go to Jedi temples. They have all these kind of ephemeral experiences, kind of like you see in every Star Wars movie where there's a Jedi. Luke going down in the swamp and seeing Vader, then seeing his own face in it.
Yeah. Yada yada.
You see all that stuff, and that it's implied that all the people that you hear from the Force, they're living within the world between worlds. And you get that through the course of the series, but you don't actually see it till season 4. Anyway,
so is that like Force ghosts live there?
It's kind of like
ambiguous,
but it's kind of like the world between worlds is like where when you pull it on like energy of the Force, you get kind of images or visages of your old masters, like that's coming from the world between worlds.
Matt, I hope you
my
put some epic music behind this because this is great from DL.
We really need that. I need that instrumentation.
I think we need like some real epic song.
Full orchestra.
Yeah, give me that.
And in
really
the final
jazzing me up to talk about this.
Yeah, and in the final battle for Lothal, when all hope is almost lost, that the Empire will have developed new TIE fighters with shields or something.
Oh,
because I guess like that would really change the course.
Who
would
have guessed?
Ezra sacrifices himself by purgicide. Purgicide?
Purgicide.
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 Purgicide?
What's Purgicide?
Purgicide's the big whales, basically. He's his Force powers, he's like really good at touching animals.
You want to call it that? I got that.
And he basically summons these Purgles that we've kind of seen before. The Purgles can jump through hyperspace.
Sure.
They're actually what inspired the Star Wars characters of old to invent hyperspace.
Interesting.
And he basically gets the Purgles to grab on to the starship and just remote jump with him, sacrifices himself to God knows where, and Thrawn, to stop Lothal from being conquered. Saves the day.
And that's
we don't know where they go. 10 years later, Ahsoka begins.
That's a nice place to start because this does effectively start with a bunch of characters who are really, really, really excited to see Ezra Bridger again. And some characters who are against seeing Ezra Bridger again.
And also kind of like, well, what were you doing for the last 10 years? Something they didn't answer.
No.
Suddenly on the 10-year anniversary, we forgot. Well, I guess now we should look for Ezra.
It's time.
This is one of the biggest problems of the series. They don't do a lot of like background filling of what's happened in the last series.
The setup for the series effectively is that Morgan Elsbeth, who you do know if you go back and listen to our Mandalorian episodes, has found a potential way of finding Thrawn.
Yes.
She just needs a MacGuffin. I mean, a map.
A map.
She needs to find a map and find out how to open a map, which will show them the way to this galaxy. So the idea is that, hyperspace, hyperspeed, if you make a minute error in terms of your, yeah, exactly. You're 1 degree
when you're leaving
west.
the galaxy. This isn't like within the Star Wars galaxy. It's a different galaxy.
They're going to a different galaxy far, far away, hence my super plot summary.
I understand.
That's why they're dragged back in.
And we follow Ahsoka 10 years after the Star Wars Rebels ends and shortly after she meets Din Djarin and Grogu and Elizabeth. What's her name? Elsbeth.
Yeah.
So, or something like that.
I was...
Right, like, we don't know. The timeline's kind of unclear, but that is...
For sure.
clear.
And I've got this as a note. Like, I was really, really surprised we didn't see any of those characters. Mandalorian, Boba Fett. None they've built up so far over the shows. Because, like, the thing is, they flip between them and they see each other, and not even a really badly CGI'd Luke Skywalker. Nothing.
I think this could have been a 12-episode season, 10-episode season.
I don't know.
It 100% could have. And
it would have been
integrated
even slower.
No, that's the point. There was so much shit they could have done that didn't need... Like, I don't understand why this show was so slow.
Interesting.
They, like, just refused to do anything cool that they could have done.
Well, I wonder if they didn't
Instead, they took us to droid court.
They did. It's effectively, it's like another reluctant mentor figure, right? Like another one. Ahsoka, she's got to be. Is she gonna train Sabine Wren? Is she not gonna train Sabine Wren? She trains her in the end.
It's actually not. It's not reluctant for the same reasons, though.
No, I kind of like that as well. But I also think what's very interesting about this is, and we're going to get into talking about performances, etc. shortly, is that when the first 4 episodes of this came out, there was a lot of hate for this version of Ahsoka, and people were thinking, "Oh, she's really dour. She's really miserable. Like, why is she like this?" But there was a really good reason for that.
Yes, and
you find that out as the series goes on. And there's some really good episodes.
Yeah, no, there are. It's just more. It's very disjointed, and I would say the tough part is like it's not quite an Ahsoka show, and it's not quite a Rebels extension.
Yeah,
like in fact, one of the big characters of Rebels just isn't in it.
Who's that?
The Zeb guy I was talking about.
Okay.
But he is in Mandalorian season 3.
Oh, really?
He's just like a split frame. He's there. He's like this big CGI animal thing.
Oh, there you go.
So it's like, why would you not, like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Interesting.
That you wouldn't tap that well and like, use that to, maybe they had a budget cut because he is all CGI.
I mean, what do you think of it then? Like, let's just go very top level. How did you feel this season?
I would say this was one of the better Star Wars things to come out in a while because of the castings and the lead.
Good castings.
Like the leads and the castings were good. The plot,
we're going to talk about
meandering and not focused enough and missed many opportunities to do cool things.
But okay, right. So this is where we're going to have a line down the sand. So you knowing all this stuff, and thank you. I appreciate your victory music inspired overview.
His voice, I mean, his face does not match his voice here. It's like, I appreciate. I'm talking about you. Yeah, but Thrawn as well. He appreciates this, but he looks very bored.
What I'm saying is, like,
very bored.
Being someone who knows the history, you can appreciate it for the things it didn't have. Being someone who didn't know any of the original stuff, I sat there the whole time feeling like someone who was in a room full of people who were in on a funny joke and had no idea what the joke was. Like, it was weird. And I said this in my YouTube video. Check us out, Podcast Assemble on YouTube. I literally was just like, just the first episode alone, I felt there's like 100 things that have gone over 100%. My head.
And you want to know why part of the problem of that is?
Why?
It relies so much, like it actually doesn't do things to go explain like what's actually happened for things that I don't even know.
Sure.
Where you could just like create a new story with these characters where I don't know it either. And I can like slowly inform you about the stuff you don't know, but we're both chasing the same mystery.
Tale.
Right? Like we don't even know what they did for 10 years with Thrawn and Ezra. They just, it's as if
nothing.
It's as if Ezra just got there, went to a corner, sat down, waited 10 years. Like obviously there's whole tools of stories. And that would have been interesting to investigate because it's new to both of us.
Well, yeah.
Instead, they just like investigated things that only I would know. So it was kind of like, okay, great. But I already knew
like
that.
The relationship between Sabine and Ahsoka.
Well, even that, like we didn't know that. That would have been a great thing to investigate,
Sure.
like the why it got that way. But
Sure.
they didn't even tell us that till the very, very end.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like we spent 8 episodes, like kind of hearing about things we already knew, learning nothing. You spent 8 episodes hearing about things you didn't know while like not getting anything new that you could sink your teeth into. That's like a new mystery because it's all the same. It's basically the same mystery the whole time. Where did Ezra and Thrawn go without explaining where they went and why they went there? It was the plot is the biggest flaw. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's not setting up the plot, right? That's the problem.
Or creating new plot points that both parties can engage in.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a question for you. So, you said before Sabine is a Mandalorian, right?
She is.
And with all of the shows they've released so far being so Mandalorian heavy,
yes,
would it not have made more sense for her to be the main character and basically the exposition of all the stuff that we don't know come through her and then her be dragged along on Ahsoka's adventure?
There's definitely a way to do this that is more integrated and succinct and
like, makes sense.
More thought out. But like, I don't know if it's like Sabine is the main character because she basically is. She got like the same amount of screen time as Ahsoka, if not more.
Interesting.
I honestly feel that way having seen it.
Well, what are the stakes? The stakes are like like if Thrawn wins and gets back, it's the reformation of the Empire.
Yes, but like that's the stake from the start.
Yeah,
that's the stake from like the end of Mandalorian season 4, or is it season 3? Season 3. So like you can't just ride that as the stakes the entire show.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like
I didn't even realize Thrawn had been mentioned in season 3.
He was. They were like all like, if you remember Moff Gideon, and they're all in like a circle, and they're like a bunch of.
Oh shit! Yeah, I never finished that series. That's probably why
they mentioned Thrawn. Yeah, well, anyway. He's not in it, but they mention him.
Well, let's talk about the performances then, because like we're talking about Thrawn, so let me jump into him. I really, really, really wanted him to be terrifying, like menacing. Like he had so much potential
in the animated
to be
character.
That.
He is.
I assume so, and from the clips I've seen,
they should have recast.
I didn't love that guy, but I know people who do.
It's his voice that they you like, but the reality is the physical. Either they butchered the wig and the makeup, or like he's just not physically imposing.
He's not imposing at all. Yeah. Like at all. And like I joked before about a punch, but like he genuinely has got a bit of a gut on him. And like, you know, maybe he isn't the action oriented.
Maybe he needs to be on my workout.
Maybe he's going to
elite. Thrawn, you've been out in the space.
In the cold of space.
The cold of space, galaxies far, far away from farther away. You still managed to find a lot of feed.
But you know,
I don't get it, dude. What was he eating?
He was eating them
turtle soup.
Them weird dogs.
Turtle soup.
Oh my God, that's
lots
brutal.
Of turtle soup.
But you know what? I thought he was almost like the sinister uncle at like a get together. The one who's a bit weird.
And everyone's like, just don't talk to him.
Yeah. And always says something weird, maybe served in the forces. So he's got it like, you know, he's not quite like, that's what he felt like. But that's not menacing or evil or.
Dude, that's what he felt like to other people as well. That know the character. So I think it's just, you know, it was a mistake. I think it's like one of those things that sounded really good on paper that just like as soon as they
he's
saw
a great actor.
As soon as they saw him in costume, they should have been like, oh, sorry to do this to you, bud, but
it's just not him. I don't know what it is.
We're going to go next.
Yeah. Just swipe him like Tinder.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that you thought the same about Thrawn. You didn't find him imposing or...
I think like, no, I didn't find him... And I also think...
Lars Mikkelsen, man, like that's a fucking good actor.
I also think they didn't give him any like...
No.
They didn't give him anything to do that would like also make him really imposing. Like we don't get to see any of what, like why Ezra was so afraid of him. What, like any of the battles that maybe made... who we thought Ezra is like...
And why everyone's so loyal?
Yeah, exactly. And these people are like, that's where I was going to go next. These people are like really badass. Yeah. And so it's like, why are they so like, what did he do?
That one Stormtrooper almost had a face.
How did he pull this off? Yeah. Like, anyway.
I think it's the tactician stuff. And I'm going to like go flip flop on this because I genuinely enjoyed watching him outthink everyone around him. I thought it was really quite interesting. And it was different for Star Wars. You don't get that in Star Wars. It's like the Emperor doesn't outthink everyone. He's just got a stronger bodyguard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it works. Whereas in this, he was like, well, the Jedi are famous for this, and this is a thing this person is doing. Let's assume she's going to do this.
I'm glad that came off because that is the message. That is the way that Thrawn is like portrayed throughout the entire Rebels series. So like that landed then. But
I think, I don't think it was well executed. It landed. I got what they were going for, but I don't think this character did it for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just the way he looked or it's the combo of like the way he looked with like the fact that we got no reason for why he was in the situation.
It was the physicality. Actually, you know what it was? It was the pleated pants. It's the fact
Dude, it is. The pants are so bad.
The big.
I almost feel like you should have gone like it would have been cooler to like see a more grizzled Thrawn. Like, you know, like it's almost like
everything torn up.
Think about it like you ever see what's that movie with Robin Williams? Where he goes Jumanji, you know, or 10 years later he's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
and you could see like, and Ezra went the opposite way. He's like, I'm not even touching a lightsaber until he fucking does. 10 minutes later, so it's like so dumb. Like, just be consistent, make him super strong with the Force. You know, that would have been cool. You'd have been consistent. So
well,
episode later, you change it.
We'll talk about action in a minute.
You get my point. That's more just consistency in like the themes you're saying.
Yeah,
right. Like, and I would have loved to see that, like a grizzled, more
that would have been cool,
unhinged Thrawn.
Yeah,
versus like a
still
I can't keep up with this guy. I'm hiding Ezra. And then it's like we explore that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a case of Ezra it's the previous Thrawn that he was scared of. Because this guy, he ain't scaring no one. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. This is me writing the show.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, I suppose then you have to look at it as that he must be incredibly good at persuading people. Because he obviously persuaded what are they called? The Night Sisters, the witchy type things. Yeah. He persuaded them to help him somehow, and they're clearly incredibly powerful. So, like, maybe he's just incredibly persuasive.
I think, that is like a much worse story than investigating, I guess. Like, if you think about Thrawn, one of the big things about his character when you go back to Rebels is he underappreciates and underevaluates the Jedi and the Force and belittles it, basically. It's like, the Jedi for years have made the wrong strategic choice for the moral high ground, and look where it brings them, right?
Interesting.
Like, and so, like, I would have thought a more interesting investigation of that character is one where the last time we saw him, he was bested by a Jedi doing something absurd with Purgleside, as we call it.
So
like,
he now
opens up his investigation of that and becomes this crazy, scary being that both has the tactician and emerges, kind of evolves.
Yeah,
that would have been a better way to play the character, and they just made him kind of older, fatter. He's got a couple holes in his pants because it's been 10 years.
Yeah. He really needs a fucking tailor.
Yeah. So,
what about the rest of the cast around them? Like, I initially felt Sabine was great. I liked her spunkiness. Awesome, yeah. As the show went on, she got less and less compelling.
She was less and less compelling because her character decisions from the writing were less and less compelling.
Yeah, interesting.
100%, I agree. But it's not her acting, it's not her performance, it's the dialogue and the decisions she makes. And then how they just go back and forth on things the entire time.
Sure. So we're skipping ahead a little bit here in terms of the story of the show. So one of the key points of this is that halfway through, everyone is searching to find this map to get to Thrawn. And the dark side find it, and Sabine has an opportunity to destroy the map, but knowing that this is her only opportunity to find Ezra Bridger, goes with the dark side willingly to this other galaxy, right? Yeah. And that is a huge choice. And against her master's request. Totally. And I like that it's looking at those shades of gray.
I loved that for her. I love that decision for her character. I love that trajectory.
Yeah.
What I don't love is how it was reconciled.
Yeah, it really wasn't.
No.
It was reconciled
kind of
by...
we both just smiled at each other and moved on.
Well, Ahsoka's character went through her own transformation in the time they were apart, but she still had to confront that, and she didn't.
Well, and it's even if it's like the transformation her character went on is to accept people for who they are and what you can get from them, and also to recognize if you don't remember, you didn't watch Clone Wars, but she makes the decision to leave the Jedi Order.
Yeah, well, I was going to mention that later on. Yeah.
So my point is, they had a lot to work with there, and they just kind of fumbled the bag.
I really want to talk about the scenes with Anakin. Maybe wait for action for that, but they're kind of happening while we're talking.
That is probably the best episode by far of the.
I would say so. That's fascinating.
It's not even close.
But there is a really interesting parallel / not parallel of Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order and becoming this,
making her own choice,
incredibly powerful Force user who is probably one of the better Jedis because of making her own choices. And Anakin, who stuck with the Jedi Order, and see what he became. He became a monster.
Yeah, for sure.
I find that fascinating.
Well, that's not only fascinating, it's also fascinating. Maybe that is why Ahsoka can forgive her for this choice.
Maybe.
Right? She herself made a choice that others told her not to. But the point is, they didn't even explore that. They didn't even talk about it. They left it to you to figure out, and someone like you who hasn't seen anything.
Yeah.
And the dialogue was just so bad.
Stupid question.
Yeah.
And I this is absolute nonsense. But when you leave, you see any like buddy cop film, right? There's a sticky point where the buddy cop who's, you know, a bit raw and a bit like angry, he loses his temper and like he does something he shouldn't, and then his boss is like, "You leave your badge and gun on the desk," and he has to leave, right? Is that not the same with Jedis? They don't have to leave their, like, I don't know, sash and lightsabers on the desk. Is it not like they have to
robe?
They just have to. They're allowed to just walk out with these deadly sort of force light swords. She just runs. Okay, cool, great, perfect, lovely. Cool.
Actually,
cool.
Cool. She did have to take off her beads.
Oh shit, the beads, baby.
The beads.
Are they tentacles on her head?
The beads?
No, Ahsoka. Are they tentacles?
Oh, I think they're just, you know, she's got a headdress.
It's not hair.
That used to have beads, and then it's just like her head.
It's just her head. So
I mean, it's like, you call it what you will. Call it whatever floats your fantasy, bro.
I'm being obtuse on purpose here. So, okay, right. So, liked Sabine Wren, didn't love the trajectory of that character through the series.
Yeah, but the acting was good, and the casting was good, I would say.
One character who followed a very similar
liked her better with long hair.
Was Balon. Yeah, I mean, me too. She was great.
No, she just looked way better.
Just different.
It's like, Balon was awesome.
To begin with.
Talk about some underutilized again.
And unfortunately, you know, like,
we're not going to see the end of that.
That character passed away. I've just lost his name 1 second. It's Ray Stevenson. Like, R.I.P. man. I liked his calm anger. Does that make sense?
He wasn't even very angry.
I felt like there was like something bubbling underneath him that stopped him being a Jedi. There was something there that was like,
well, we'll never get to, well, maybe we will, maybe it'll get recast, but
I think they should recast
it's not that it was bubble. I just thought that there was like history and it was more, it wasn't that it had
knowledge.
It was anger. It was now disappointment in the history.
Yeah, for sure.
And like
for sure.
Underwhelming, like of like what something could have been. Like I felt more inspired by him than I did in anyone in the show. I'm like, this guy's got a vision. I don't know what it is.
Fuck me.
I don't know what it is.
Dre's going to the dark side.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Let the hate
over this fucking bullshit turtle soup stuff. Like,
brilliant. I did like. I was talking about Morgan Elsbeth before. That's a great character. She ultimately dies in this, which was a real shame. I thought she had a lot of potential. And she had to, and she got that fun sword. That's always nice. The Night Sisters, fascinating. I feel like they're going to be a good inclusion moving forward. Coming to the new,
would have been great to learn a bit more.
Anything actually of them. But let's be frank. The MVP of the show is Rosario Dawson.
I would say Rosario Dawson did a great job. I was gonna say the MVP would be her or the Balin. Honestly.
Okay, I like Ben, but he wasn't
just not in it enough.
Yeah, to be the MVP for me. I feel like you have to play.
Rosario's great.
You have to play every game to be the MVP, man.
Rosario's great, and I guess like that is true. We all agree. Not all of us agree. Some sports writers may disagree.
That's very true.
But I agree.
But making the leap from the animated series into this, like, and she's adapted her performance. Well. It's great. Yeah.
She was super compelling.
Yes.
As a lead. The problem was she wasn't quite a lead. Like, I think that's why I like this anyways, because like everyone they cast was really good. Ezra was like really good as well. Like, super charming, played it perfectly. It's just like that rose the.
He was very wholesome.
It rose the show higher, but the plot just made it like average. It could have been it could have been an Andor level threat.
What do you think of Shin Hate or Shin Hate?
Is that the droid?
The super emo other Sith. With the blonde hair.
I love her.
She was like so emo.
But it's like,
the whole time.
Is she?
I was like, say something. Anything.
I guess I loved the idea of their little dynamic because they were so different.
Yeah.
But like, again, like not paid off.
In the slightest.
So I didn't like her ending either. But I like her as a casting. I like her as a foil to Sabine.
Yeah.
Because like, Sabine is kind of also pretty like angry and
she's sort of learning through her. Yeah, it's interesting.
I like that foiled like kind of relationship, but
I think a thing that you've been sort of like skating around here is that the pacing for this was
all over the place.
All over the place.
Wasn't it like a 30-minute episode?
I think it was like 20.
There was like a 25-minute episode not counting credits, and then like every other one was an hour.
These Star Wars series, though, they're all about 25, 30 minutes, but then the credits go on forever.
Yeah, but these ones, like, my point is, like, some of them were, like, clocking in at, like, 50 minutes total.
Really?
This one was clocking in at 35 total.
Well, the Space Whale episode was something. They just sat in the mouth of a space whale for, like, 30 minutes.
Nah, that was, like, literally one scene.
I was like, come on. Why are we still here?
Do you understand the space whales? They're ancient
Not
creatures.
in the slightest.
They're ancient. Like, it's like if you saw a dinosaur.
Great. I would have a
Pretty
great time if I saw a dinosaur.
So as Ezra with space
But I
whales.
wouldn't get in its mouth.
Fair.
So Ezra's good at touching
The
animals.
breath would be disgusting. Can you imagine a
Oh,
millennia of just traveling through space with no toothpaste?
Oh my God. That smell would be hideous.
Yeah,
How did they even get back in that ship?
In that ship, dude.
So they jumped in the whale's mouth and they get through to the galaxy and they do it somehow perfectly by the Force, right? And then they have
that's
to
not that bad of a leap.
team back up
Don't
with
yada yada
Ezra and Sabine and, try and stop Thrawn.
Yeah.
And, I thought the second half of the season was pretty strong.
Yeah.
I think the first half was strong. There was a really boring bit in the middle. And then they all of a sudden were just like...
What was the boring bit?
The whole whale thing and like Ahsoka. Like the best episode for me was the one where she was in the World Between Worlds.
So the one after that, when they do the
and
whale
the
thing.
one after that where they're just like, oh, let's take our time and touch a whale's face. Like, come on, man, just get in the whale's mouth.
We know what he likes. We know what he's looking for.
Well, Ezra touches
Ladies
whales.
and gentlemen.
Anakin touches children, so who knows where this is.
Does he? Where do we get that?
He kills children. Similar,
Murder, kill.
different. But let's talk a little bit before we get on to the second half of the season about that scene, that episode with Anakin and
It does
Ahsoka.
feel like two different seasons, doesn't it? That,
Really
and then
does.
The last 3 episodes.
But that's why the pacing's so all over the
it's
place.
so weird. I forget that it's the same season. How cool was that?
So cool. And it was interesting that he was overlapping into her memories that he was not even in, like the Siege of Mandalore.
That's why it's awesome.
It was so interesting.
That's why it's awesome.
Even the young kid who plays her was good.
I mean, I think
She's in everything.
I think that she is in everything. She was just young. What's her name?
Gamora.
Yeah,
She's a bunch of stuff. So go on, you were saying.
Barbie as well.
True.
I think that like the coolest part about that is that it's almost like the Scrooge, what is it, Christmas Tale style
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And the fact that they cast Ahsoka for half of that or more than half as a kid, like that helps you.
She was in 65 as well.
She was, dude. She's on a roll. That helps you like rationalize how Ahsoka could be so traumatized.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're like, holy shit.
As a child.
You were a
yeah.
child soldier.
Yeah, literally.
Went to war murdering people. And like your mentor was the one telling you and teaching you how to do it.
And then turned into
And so you're like conflicted of the
whatever he was.
Turned into like the worst dude ever. And you're like conflicted, like, I like this guy because I had like my peak of youth, he was my mentor, he helped me survive. But also like he turned into this thing and also what we were doing was not good.
Yeah. And
Like,
she's got anger in her. So
how do
she's
I
like,
sit with this? Right. Like I love that exploration for her.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably one of the better arcs for the season.
Absolutely. And I really like that
grace,
moment.
Really.
Yeah. And I was saying at the beginning, I think the Ahsoka arc is one of the strongest parts of this show.
Yeah.
And the fact she had to accept herself and that she has feelings and she's not like a droid. She's not. And yeah, it's really great. And it's the only glue that held the two halves of the season together.
Yeah. What do you think about Hayden Christensen?
Good.
I thought he did great.
I'm glad he's back.
I honestly think he got way too much hate
Big
for the
time.
first series.
He
or for
hates
the first
sand.
the prequel. It wasn't his fault.
No,
dude.
not at all. Not at all.
And like when you look at like Revenge of the Sith, some of those like scenes are super iconic.
They are now.
Like
it's more the Attack of the Clone stuff where he's like,
Attack of the Clone stuff is so bad.
So bad.
It's shockingly bad.
I mean, the dialogue.
The love scenes like with him and Padme are like, I want to throw up in my
physical
mouth.
pain.
Not like literally.
As well, he's significantly younger than her.
You cringe and you're just like, you're like, your butt is so tight because of how bad it is.
Totally. But I think he's a good part of the world building for this because his redemption.
Yes.
Massively important. I feel like he's a good actor. He deserves that.
Yeah. And he created a good character in the end, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not his fault.
You will try. He did have some weird line release.
Oh,
I will stop you. You will try.
It's very good.
Yeah.
But like he is a big part of the world building for this, and it's interesting that even though he's only really in 1 and a bit episodes, like he's felt throughout. Like he is constantly referenced, even by Thrawn, even by like Sabine, like constantly just like Anakin. And I think building a world, interestingly, no worlds with sand on. Did you notice that? There's no sand worlds in this.
Yes.
Building a world where his influence is impacting people's lives outside of him just chopping folk up. I find that really interesting.
Yeah. I liked that and the juxtaposition of like her her images of him when he's like Vader and like the transition of like, and
Eyes
you just
going
see him
red.
go like, yeah, eyes go red, and he's like, what does he say? He's like, you lack conviction, and it's kind of like, well, that is what led him, like too much
Precisely.
conviction within himself.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I enjoyed it.
I mentioned I like the Purge of Mandalore as well. I think all of those factors, building into, like it's extra stuff building out a universe galaxy that we maybe think we know everything about, but probably don't.
And I wish we'd have known a bit more, because why hide? Like, it's not like this great plot point that like, it's like it's not some big like twist.
Okay.
That Ahsoka didn't want to train Sabine because she was worried about how she felt about like the siege of Mandalore and all her people dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that wasn't like adding value by being told at the end. It totally does add value by knowing that early and having that inform all the decisions and conflict that they go through together. Why wouldn't you let that out and give the new people that history and like give us something to chew on?
It's very much
it doesn't make any sense.
I feel like it's very much the parental thing of like, you don't want your kids to make the same mistakes you do, but by forcing them a certain way, they tend to make those same mistakes. And I think that's kind of what they went for, but it didn't really
we didn't know why they weren't beefing in the beginning. Like, that's essential information.
What's your beef about?
Yeah, it's essential information. Like, I gotta know why Tupac and Biggie are beefing to understand why the song is
East Side and West Side, baby. We all know.
Anyway,
talk about action to me then. Tell me a little bit about that before we move on.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was great.
A lot of space battles, and I kind of watched on my iPad, so I couldn't tell if they look good to me.
The only things I can really call out that weren't good were those weird dog horses.
I like them.
So like, they were good on their own. As soon as you saw someone on them, the whole thing fell to pieces.
Well, you're just like, it's too heavy.
It was real bad.
Like,
too much CGI.
The people were too heavy, or what?
It just didn't work. Like, they were too low to the ground, even though they weren't. It was very odd. And then when you saw them moving with someone on, very clearly bad CGI, like rushed CGI.
Yeah, the last episode mainly.
Yeah, a lot of that last episode wasn't good. But in general, I thought they created some really beautiful scenery in this, and it was like a bit like last week when we talked about the creator. Plug for that episode. Like, I feel like they used at least some
that one was way better
backgrounds that felt real, even though it was probably all created in the boom.
Yeah,
like, it felt more real than some of the other stuff.
I overall liked it. I liked the action scenes. I thought they were well like choreographed. I thought the space battles like were kind of unique in a lot of ways. Like, they're not the same thing.
Yeah.
The last episode I kind of put on its own because I thought it was just not a really good finale. And I'd say most of the things in that I didn't love.
Okay. Even some of the cool fights between like Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka.
Those fights were awesome. I guess it's more just like from a CGI perspective. There was a lot of stuff I didn't really.
Well, I guess then we should really sort of like move towards what's going on in this series. The ending of this series is, they find Ezra. We haven't talked enough
say it in 30 seconds.
Yeah, we haven't talked enough about Shin and Balon. They're sent to find them, kind of almost so Thrawn can leave anyone who has any force powers on that planet. Thrawn is taking something out of the sisters' temple, which look like coffins, which is interesting.
It seems like that is something they could have explained a bit more. I don't know what they're saving that
I
for.
think they're hiding that for
Why?
One of the things that people talk about is that they can, they do it in that final episode, they can raise the dead. So if they have a whole army of corpses.
They're going to create the Night Sisters again, for sure. It's obvious. Like, we all know already. So like.
Well, one thing, before we move on, while we still talk about action, I think the thing that really got me was like in the last episode, there was a thing that I hate. Now, I thought it pretty good. So like there are good action scenes in this. So you see Balon versus Ahsoka quite early on. Is that episode 2, 3, maybe?
Yeah.
When she's got the map, etc.
Yeah.
Good, like character good. But then when you get to the final episode and you're seeing all these zombie stormtroopers basically trying to take down, Ahsoka and team, everyone forgets their powers at weird moments. So there's a scene where...
Or gets their powers at weird moments?
Well,
Sabine can't do shit for the entire season.
And then all of a sudden she believes
she's
in herself.
a fucking savant?
Like, yeah.
Come on, dude.
But even that, like, so let's say, so there's a moment just before that when Ezra is fighting like a big zombie stormtrooper who is like kind of like he's a bit of a tank, right? And he loses his lightsaber and he's trying to punch this dude.
Just like force push him off the thing.
And I'm like, last episode,
bye.
all you were doing was force pushing
it's
people.
so annoying.
What's happening?
It's
and
like
then,
that level of shit is just like poor. It's just not elite television. It's just like those are easy things to get right. Like,
and in the exact same fight scene, you're seeing Ahsoka fighting with Morgan Elsbeth, and she's winning the battle. It's like effectively becomes like a sword fight, effectively. And there are all these dead stormtroopers stood around, and Ahsoka's standing over Morgan Elsbeth, and they just don't shoot her. There's fucking 50 of them. They would just destroy her.
I remember that.
I was like, what are you guys?
And I think it's kind of like she was kind of controlling them, so I thought it implied like Morgan Elsbeth like said, back off. With my newfound powers, I'm gonna take this bitch out.
Interesting,
that
but
was
at the same
read.
time, they were attacking her before that. So why then?
Because before that was like a delay. Let's delay her so that like we may still all be able to get off.
Yeah, she was about to lose. So what? Anyway, so Ezra Bridger gets on the ship with Thrawn. They go off to
via a Sabine force push, which can we just like say would never be able to happen?
Yeah,
she couldn't move a fucking teacup.
Which shouldn't have happened. So they then actually go back to the galaxy far, far away, while Sabine and
the Uno reverse.
There you go. So Ezra gets home, but Sabine and Ahsoka have to stay where they are, which is a galaxy far, 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 far away.
Yeah, it's farther away.
It's farther away.
It's like a full Purgle jump,
which is a long way.
I guess.
What
I would say, I hate that ending.
Why?
I feel like the way you make Thrawn menacing for this fucking movie they're about to do, and probably another season of Mando, another season of Ahsoka, is you have him be crazy, you have him like be able to like integrate with these witch people, give him new powers because he learned from his mistakes, and you have your entire team lose. They're all stranded. They're stuck there. They're stuck there with Balin and this other chick, I forget her name. And Balin, we actually see something about what he's kind of thinking about, because he's obviously
Shin.
Him and Shin, like Balin is obviously on a different agenda than Morgan Elsbeth, but he just doesn't let her know until he gets there.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's like, as soon as he gets there, he goes and does his own thing. So there's obviously some big thing he's gonna go unlock, and that creates a whole ecosystem of stuff you could do over there. And maybe you bring them back eventually.
And there's a lot of lore behind what he's up to, but I don't know any of it.
No one does. It's new stuff.
Well, there's
just the statue of the gods and shit, but
that's all in that expanded canon, which is not canon anymore, but is, I don't know.
So my point is, give us some of that. Leave all the characters there. They've lost.
Well, I watched it. I mentioned before to you, I watched the YouTube video just now that I found really interesting, and I think this is probably a good idea. What they're likely doing is going to have Mando season 4 be all about Thrawn trying to take over those outer rim planets, and it's all about him building his army again. And like you've got the whole council who are useless, and they're ignoring the facts, and they keep ignoring the fact, just like they did in the original ones. And it's going to get to a point where like all of these characters have to get together.
Yeah, the end game is like the New Republic fails, so like where it's heading.
But this is what leads me to my biggest questions to you, DL, if I may.
You might.
So Ezra and Thrawn are now in the galaxy far, far away.
Yes,
but they're not in the sequel trilogy. Does that mean they're going to die before the sequel trilogy?
Like that's the thing. You can get away with this once. But to get away with it, that's what I said last week. I think it was like to get away with it twice, where you have like main character, like people that are this involved in shit, not show up in 2 main trilogies. Like the Rebel stuff is supposed to be happening at the same, and Ahsoka is supposed to be happening at the same time as the original New Hope trilogy, right?
Interesting. Yes.
Ahsoka is supposed to be happening at the same time as the prequel trilogy, but they find a reason for her not to be there.
Just after, I think, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like it's
just after, because Thrawn is the
I'm saying Ahsoka's character.
Got it.
The prequel, like the original, like Anakin, like when she's his Padawan. Why don't we see her anywhere in the first 3 movies? The first but they find a reason to get rid of that. Like they do that too, to do it a third time. All these characters, Mando, Luke, don't see them in the new series.
Well, Luke, Leia,
doesn't make any sense.
Han Solo. Like, I think they need to recast those guys. It's time.
That's not even getting to them. They should be involved now too. All this shit's happening. They're like, at what point do you call Luke Skywalker and be like, bro, help us out?
Yeah, like, you know,
I mean, like,
it's the Avengers problem, right?
You are the best Jedi, like, kind of come help. It's like, so yes, I agree. They need to recast them. But my point is like, even the new Kylo Ren series doesn't have Ahsoka, Ezra, her, like any of them. So they're either dead or they find another bullshit way to not have. Like, at what point you just like think ahead, Disney?
One final thing.
I wish they were better. That's
one final thing that may, you tell me what you think about this. I mentioned the Heir to the Empire stuff. That's probably where they're going with this. I know minimal about that, but I do know that in the world between worlds, there is also the ability to time travel. Could this be Disney's way of removing the sequel trilogy from canon? Could this be they go, something happens where one of them goes into the, I don't know, whatever it is, the Tree of Life.
That'd be awesome.
And
the Tree of Life.
It all gets wiped out.
Oh, have you seen that? You still haven't read Name of the Wind, the second book?
Not yet.
There's a really cool concept in that book that I was going to reference now, but okay.
Not yet.
I don't care.
Save it for me.
No, my point is, like, you just triggered a thought. But
I'll check it out. But what do you reckon to that? They could just remove it from canon.
They wouldn't. Didn't they say Daisy Ridley is going to be in the new movie?
They're apparently making a movie about her character in the future, like an older Rey.
Who cares?
Not you, apparently. All right, cool.
But no, like, look, could they? Yes.
They
will they? No,
that.
I don't think so.
Do you have any tones and/or themes for this show?
I think it's just like love yourself. You know what I mean?
Mate, I do that regularly.
Do you? Letting go of your parents / masters' expectations and moving on and finding
on so many levels and generations.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think that juxtaposition we talked about with Ahsoka leaving the Jedi and Anakin staying, there's something in there that's like unspoken in this that really screams things about the Jedi Order, which no one is yet saying out loud, but everyone thinks.
A lot of people have said it. In Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I mean, in the shows.
Luke Skywalker said it. He's like, the Jedi failed.
Yeah, they fucked up.
He said it in the Return of Skywalker, or whatever the fuck it was, the second one.
They haven't said it yet. In this timeline. In the timeline.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
I'm really clutching at straws here. I've got no idea. Okay, finally.
Probably.
What we like to do now is we like to give you 3 reasons why you might want to watch this and 3 reasons why you might not. We call it 3 best and 3 worst.
Yeah.
This would usually be non-spoilers, but we skip. We just went straight into it because there's just there's too much to talk about.
Yeah.
So, what's your 3 best and 3 worst?
Can you imagine trying to talk about Rebels, which you don't know, this as well with no spoilers?
No.
New castings were great.
Okay.
Ahsoka is a badass.
Yep.
And I still think it has one of the all-time episodes of any Star Wars thing on screen, I'd say.
Okay.
With that episode was Anakin. So if you're a prequels fan, you'll get a lot of
prequel
value out of it.
Yeah, nice. I think I just put Ahsoka's journey. I really like the interesting character development. And she just looks freaking sick with those 2 lightsabers.
And with the hair.
Yeah,
she's the tentacles.
She's just sick, man. Whatever she is. She's a Togruta, apparently. The return again of Hayden Christensen. We've talked about this. Like, that redemption arc, if they can redeem him, that's some fire storytelling.
Yeah.
I know there's some dodginess within these TV shows and such, but they've really got something here.
It's sad that he couldn't have played, like, they didn't actually make the animated series a live action series. It
would have been so good.
It would have been so much better.
So good.
Yeah.
My final one then is the characters. I thought it's some of the best character arcs and actually castings we've had in Star Wars TV, full stop. That ironically leads into my first worst,
yes,
which is the characters, because every week I just felt like I said this. I was missing a joke that everyone else knew around me. I was like, why is Sabine annoyed at Ahsoka and vice versa? And
they didn't tell you anything.
Why? Like, what? Why is Ahsoka's? What's Ahsoka's relationship to the green chick? I don't.
So much of that was like self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe you're not going to get what is Ahsoka's relationship to the green chick, but you should be. They self-inflicted.
They were in the picture together. I was like, what is this?
They self-inflicted all the other stuff by just like not giving you something to go after. My 3 worst are blue balls. Basically, like, I just got told a bunch of, and it's not from a.
I was like,
Ahsoka's blue.
What are you watching?
So is Thrawn. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not implying.
Okay.
I was watching their blue balls.
You were just holding on to it the whole time.
Just the fact that, like, I basically got reintroduced to a bunch of characters exactly where they were left before, with very little changing and very little new lore.
Would you say it's got a lot of wasted potential?
Yes. Could have been done in 2 episodes. The amount of shit I learned that was new, other than the stuff with Ahsoka and her dealing with her own issues.
Yes. I think that's the main, that's the carrying part of this. Do you have one more, or is that one?
Inconsistent Force stuff. Cannot imagine
really
how that
annoying.
could be worse.
Really annoying. Not that I care.
Yeah.
My final one was just that there are so many like MacGuffins and shortcuts in the writing. It's like, it really frustrates me with that stuff.
What, the whales?
All of it. Yeah.
The whales weren't shortcut.
They,
The map wasn't a shortcut.
if you don't know that whales are integral to Ezra's story, it's like, oh, so you just need a reason for them to get there. Okay, cool.
I guess that's true. Like that is a gap because they're a pretty big part of the.
And I had no
Rebels.
idea who Ezra
And
was.
I don't know how you I don't know how you could come up with a better way.
Yeah.
To introduce the whales.
They didn't get introduction. They just kind of
It
turned
showed
up.
up, and you're just like expected to know. I didn't.
And
think
she
about that.
she knew they were there. It's like,
Fair enough. Well, they're like they're in touch with the Force, you know.
that's you're right. Sorry, I forgot they're in touch with the Force that I had no idea about. Okay, then finally what we do is we give this the once over with our classic rating system. Now, our classic rating system, it's binary, right? The internet's so polarizing. So things are either better or worse than the most average movie we can think of, which is Aquaman 2018. So DL,
Yes.
is this better or worse than Aquaman 2018 and why?
It is better. Why? Because I like the characters more.
Okay.
It's a simple answer. There's more at stake.
This week, I'm going to have to say it's worse, unfortunately.
That's a joke.
For the pure
It's a
reason
shocking pitch.
that it had so much potential, but I still feel like I needed to watch hours of TV to get anything that was happening, and then it didn't deliver on any of the potential it had.
Not any, but not much.
5%.
I would say. So you're just saying because it disappointed more than an Aquaman was just always.
But I
going
went
to
into
be
Aquaman with
disappointing.
zero expectations, so like it's fine. Like
I guess, but
this was disappointing. That was
if
fine.
you can care about something, it automatically ranks it higher for me. But I take your point.
Okay, no, deal. Good. That's nice. Okay, finally then, DL, would you like a bit of true or false trivia to wrap up?
Do it.
Nice. Okay, so true or false, DL? The handheld device Sabine Wren plugs into the droid's head in the hospital is an old retro game controller called an NTEX Electric Baseball 3 from 1980. Is that true or is that false?
True.
It's actually false, DL. It is a retro games console, but it's a Galaxy Invader CGL vintage from 1978. And she actually holds it upside down.
Okay, I believe you now. Thanks for that.
I love that. They just put like a random piece of like 80s tech in there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
It's probably the Dave Filoni. He seems like a nerd.
He in the best possible way.
Yeah, no jokes. Absolute nerd.
True or false, DL?
What a dork.
The Jar Kai, which is Ahsoka Tano's style of swordplay, which utilizes dual short swords, wow, it's really late here, may be derived from the national Filipino martial art called Kali. True or is it false?
True, she looks Filipino.
It is true, and famous practitioners of this are Bruce Lee and son Brandon Lee, Dan Osanato, who is Morgan Elsbeth's real-life father, a couple of others. It was also used by Steven Seagal, Tom Cruise in Jack Reacher, Lucy Liu in Kill Bill, and effectively, it's a fucking cool martial art.
It looks like it. I watched the lightsaber battles and was very impressed.
I enjoy them. I didn't think Rosario Dawson was a stunt person by any respect, but she
held her own. There were moments where I was like, okay, you could run a bit faster.
Yeah.
Like she was super slow.
She held her own. Like good for
The
her.
animated version of Ahsoka is quite fast.
Okay, true or false, DL?
Yeah.
Final one for you this week.
Let's hear it.
Before the collapse of the Jedi Order, Hu Yang, voiced by David Tennant, we didn't talk about him. He was wasted on a fucking droid.
I thought he was
David
fucking
Tennant.
hilarious, though.
Not for me.
You don't like droid humor.
No, I don't.
You're not a droid guy.
Hu Yang
You're
had...
racist to droids. You're like Jin Darin.
What does that even mean?
Jin Darin's racist to droids.
Okay, I'm
He
that.
is.
I'm definitely that. Hyun had been training younglings for over 25,000 years.
Is what he said.
True, or is that false?
Something like that. True.
It is true. And while nobody's sure his exact origins, this is like complete conjecture, but I really like this as an added extra. There was a rumor spread among the younglings that he arrived in a big blue box. And this is a reference to the TARDIS from Doctor Who, one of my old favorite TV shows when David Tennant used to play the Doctor.
Got it.
It's such a
Nice
weird
little
niche
Easter egg.
roundabout Easter egg, but
That's
I
good.
really, really like that.
That's good.
Now, we haven't done this for a little while, and I feel bad for it. But DL, would you like a little bit of correspondence before we wrap up?
Hear it, man.
So we actually had a couple of cool comments. Thank you all on my YouTube video about this show, which I highly recommend you all go and watch. We're on YouTube. Just search Podcast Assemble. You will find us. So first and foremost, we had a fantastic Thank you for this comment by Scully Balaso. No idea what that means. I'm hoping that's the name. He said, I found your video very interesting, but it's the job of the show you're watching to give you the understanding you need about what's going on. This is me highlighting that I feel like I'm missing out on a joke. Otherwise, they should have just called it Rebels Season 5 DL. Thoughts?
I think they didn't need to call it Ahsoka. They didn't need to call it Rebels Season 5. They could have called it just a normal Star Wars name. You know, like Rogue One. Many things have names that were not like a continuation of something else. So yeah, I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree. They could have just had its own name.
Okay.
Doesn't need to be Ahsoka.
All right. He does go into a little bit of a rant about Disney, but we skipped over that.
Okay.
And
I kind of agree.
One more comment.
Stock price is very down. I keep buying more. Don't know why.
You stop buying it then.
I should.
Just says, I love this Ahsoka series so far. It's for fans of the animated series and fans of the prequel trilogy, and it is an absolute must watch.
I vibe that.
So mixed reviews from fans of the show. But thank you all. We really love it when you send us comments. We love it when you hit us up on our socials. You can find us at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com, or just go to our website, www.podcastassemble.com. We're hoping to get more content up there very soon in terms of blog pieces, etc. You want to wrap up the show, DL?
You know I do. Basically, guys, it's been a really fun time chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for sticking
Tommy
with it.
Really put himself through this. If you can't tell, he's not a fan of Star Wars.
I am a stan of Star Wars.
I am a stan of Star Wars.
I'm actually a
fan of Far Wars.
I'm a stan for
far galaxies of away.
So much so, we actually just rewatched, and I was going to talk about this next week, A New Hope.
I have not seen those ones in a while.
It's very different now when you watch it.
And I've seen them so many times as a kid.
Yeah, but like there's so much added and weird stuff. Like it's very different. Like the first
like the
25 minutes. One more time?
Remember that one?
No.
Christmas special?
Oh yeah, I remember that. You mean his weird uncle who was like
watching porn or something?
Yeah.
That was so weird.
This isn't wrapping up the show. That's not what that sounds like.
Thank you to Matthew Bliss for editing and mastering this week's episode.
Not putting in Chewbacca porn.
That's an email from me, dog. I'll take those blue balls, but I don't want that Chewbacca porn. If you'd like to hire someone to edit your podcast, head to MatthewBliss.net and book a consultation.
Book it now, baby.
Or tomorrow. Or whenever you choose, I guess.
It's late here. Maybe do it in the morning, but like, you know.
He won't respond. He's got an SLA. If you want to hear his work, you can listen to From My Home to Yours. What a fucking wholesome name. An expat repat podcast where Matt and his wife share their experiences and advice for others moving to Ireland, from Australia, or really anywhere in the world. Ideally, same language though. You don't want to move somewhere where you don't speak the language and then listen to a podcast in a language you don't understand. That would be hard.
No, but check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's very wholesome, as DL says. And while you're there, you should give him a 5-star review, man. Like, he is smashing it. He's already got 12. He's already got one more than us. So good for him.
Yeah, dude.
You can give us one too while you're there.
Please do. And from my gigantic galaxy inside me to yours. I'm fucking tired.
Thanks for popping by, guys.
And thank you for stopping by.
Tally ho.
Tally ho.
Tally ho.
Super speed.
All right. Testing. Yeah. Testing. Attention, please. All right, let's do this one more time. Can you please just talk into yours at your regular volume?
What have I been doing this whole time?
Sorry, I don't know. I was just checking again.
This is the way I speak. Gravelly or no.
There you go.
Take it or leave it.
Yours looks better. Yours is the bottom, as you are always the bottom.
I love the bottom, yes. An ass man, as they say.
Will we talk in the morning? Okay, ready?
Yeah.